Well, the housing crisis in Canada is increasingly becoming one of the top hot-button political issues. It's showing up in disapproval ratings as well of Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. For a look at this, let's bring in Shachi Kurl, pollster, president of Angus Reid Institute. Shachi, thank you so much for being with us. Housing is always an important issue, but it seems like the intensity of it has been ratcheted up over the past year. Help put that into context for us.
Well, it's been something that's been rising, especially in Canada's metro and urban centers for a while. But it is what has happened around those rising interest rates over the last 2 years. If you are a homeowner, if you are a renter, you are feeling the pain for two reasons. And this is what Canadians are always telling us when we survey them now. Two things are happening. First of all, the actual cost of housing is increasing and increasing at some pretty frightening rates. Again, if you're up for a mortgage renewal and you locked in, say, before the pandemic or during the pandemic at lower than a mortgage rate of 2%, this is a very frightening time. If you're paying a variable mortgage rate, God bless you. If you are a renter, those costs are being passed on to you. And it comes at a time when rampant inflation is continuing to put the squeeze on all the other costs. So there aren't a lot of other places to keep on squeezing to find ways to meet that household monthly expense budget.
Those are very clear issues that Canadians have been facing. It gets a little murkier when it comes to who bears the responsibility. We mentioned that increasingly it has been Justin Trudeau. There were complaints that after his ministers' meeting, there was no real concrete action. But these are things that are decided at the municipal level, at the provincial level.
There is enough blame to be eaten at all three levels of government, municipal, provincial, and the federal government level. And it's also one of those issues that I would call a wicked problem, a little bit like healthcare. Regardless of the government in power, regardless of the political stripe of that government, things like rising interest rates, rising cost of living are going to land squarely on the jaw politically of the government of the day because people are suffering and then they look to their leadership for, at minimum, some acknowledgement of that pain and obviously for some relief. And the relief is not coming yet. So we have seen for the first time, probably in all of their time in opposition, the opposition Conservatives starting to gain some traction politically by being able to capitalize on this cost of living issue in a way that other issues just have not resonated for swing voters. If you've been someone who's voted for the Liberal Party or the NDP over time and you're happy with this confidence and supply agreement, basically this way that they are governing together the two left of center parties, you're not likely going to be somebody who considers the Conservatives, because ideologically, they represent a pretty big difference in terms of a lot of issues. But there is nothing, Amber, so fundamental as that cost of living issue, as how much money is in your wallet, how much money do you have to feed your kids, pay your rent, pay your mortgage, pay the electricity bill. And as a result, that is now an issue that is starting to move the needle for the Conservatives.
And yeah, that was going to be my next question, as to what extent that message is resonating or landing. They're clearly delivering that. That's something that I've increasingly heard Pierre Poilievre speak about.
Yeah, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have displayed what I would call a lot of message discipline. They spend a lot of time talking about this issue in a very focused way. And when Canadians do not perceive that they are getting relief from the government of the day, they're going to look at alternatives. Consider that, 2/3 of people in this country say that they've been cutting back on discretionary spending for more than a year now, the better part of 18 months, really, that they're cutting back on travel. The extras are going away. They're dipping into savings. They're not contributing to savings. These are things that have incredible proximity to voters. And so when you have a leader in the Conservatives who is speaking about this issue in a very targeted, very focused way, it's something that starts to punch through. Now, the challenge for Pierre Poilievre is, even though we're starting to see lower approval for the Prime Minister, lower vote intent numbers for the federal Liberals, it's not as though people are warming up to Pierre Poilievre in a very significant way. They may be listening to what he's saying about cost of living, but they're not necessarily sort of falling and swooning and going, oh my gosh, this guy is so likable and he's so electable. There's still a lot of skepticism towards him. And the other issue is this. I mentioned this earlier, Amber. This is the first time we've seen any issue really resonating and punching through for the Conservatives. Technically, this government, the federal Liberals, could choose not to go to the polls, not to call another election until 2025. If we start to see interest rates fall, if the cost of living crisis starts to dissipate and ease, that's really the advantage for the Conservative that evaporates. Right now, it's the ballot question for Canadians. We have no idea what that ballot question is going to be in 2025.
That's